Hey guys, Jimmy Williams again, video number 3 out of 5. I'm making 5 today. I haven't done this many videos and I don't know how long in a day, but I felt that this content that we're creating today is going to give you some momentum going into the new year. So that's why I took the time to get it done. All right. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about REOs and why I recommend that if you're not a cash buyer, to stay away from them. Even though people love them and they love the sound of these properties in all these different states, they're not for everyone. And I'm going to talk about the do's and don'ts and why I recommend wholesalers. I wouldn't deal with REOs, okay? Because I'm a wholesaler slash acquisitions guy, acquisitions person, cash buyer, you name it, fix and flip. I do all of it. But when it comes to REOs, if I don't have cash to just buy the property outright, I don't deal with them. However, I offer them to everyone else because I don't know your situation. I don't know where you are in real estate. I don't know, who you connected to. And if you're connected to the right people, REOs can be great. All right. So this is going to be a short video, but I think a lot of people have been, without saying it, you've been wanting me to make a video about REOs to know what the do's and don'ts are. Because the big question I get is, how do I do this? And, is this property available? And can I have a cash buyer that I know come in and buy properties as a wholesaler? And I'm going to answer those questions for you right now, okay? One of the biggest things about REOs that you have to realize is most of the lists that we get, and I have an inside source with the auction houses. That's how I get the list. I know someone who's one of my mentors who works with the vice president on the inside of all the auction houses who list these properties that you see. They're listed on different websites like auction.com and some of the other ones. But the people who actually have these properties listed are not desperate, or they're not like, like you would normally put a property under contract and then you just, or let's say me as a wholesaler, I have it under contract and I offer it to you, and then you can go take a look at it, and then you can put it in an offer and that kind of thing. That's not what these are. We don't have these properties under contract. We just know the inside source, and we know how to get that property pulled. So they're not looking. In other words, the people there who are looking for the properties to be sold are not quite as desperate. Some of the guys, they actually have maybe 100 properties listed on these sites, and they're just trying to move them. Some of them are hedge fund companies. They buy them in bulk, and they turn around, they sell them in bulk. So they're not desperate. And so one of the number one things that you have to realize is if you ask for anything less than whatever the target price is, it's going to be an automatic decline. That's the first thing you should know. It's going to be a decline. They're not going to accept the offer because they're not desperate, and they don't want tire kickers. They want cash buyers, not wholesalers. So if you have a cash buyer and the cash buyer is willing to pick up, I would say 5 properties at least, then we can negotiate, you and I, we can figure out how you're going to get paid on the back end, because if it's not 5 properties, it's really not worth it for these guys. And then we can even talk about getting a discount on those properties, maybe 10 to 20%, 30% if they buy all 5. But coming in with just 1 property and then sometimes you want a low ball, that's not going to happen. All right? So it's for cash buyers only. However, I will make an exception with wholesalers who have a serious cash buyer, like I just said. If you don't, these are not for you, and they're not for them either. All right? Number 3, what happens once you put in the offer, or how to find out if the property is available? First of all, if you want to know if a property is available, you have to put in the amount that they're asking for the property. So if the property is $100,000 and you come to me and you email us and say, hey, Jimmy, this property isn't available, I'm going to tell you, there's no way of knowing that until you put in the offer for the property. We need to get an LOI, which is a letter of intent, and a proof of funds. When you do that, I can submit it over to the auction house. They'll in turn come back to me in 24 to 48 hours and say, hey, this property is available and the offer is accepted or declined. If you give them the asking price, if you say you'll pay $100,000 for it, the next thing they're going to say in most cases, based on my experience, is, okay, great, the offer is accepted. Now, I want you to get this. They're going to ask you for $2,500 for the earnest money down, earnest money deposit, to make sure that you're a serious buyer. So whenever the offer is accepted, this is how they test out to see who's real and who's not. They want you to wire $2,500 into the escrow account with the attorney, with the auction house. That's where that money goes. And they hold that money there for the closing cost. So whenever we do the closing, whatever's not used goes back to you. Okay? But you have to be able to fork out that money within 24 to 48 hours when we come back and say the offer has been accepted. So no tire kickers here. And if you guys are not able to perform, it makes me look bad and my partner look bad. This business relationship took me about a year to find. So I'm not going to just throw it away over somebody who's not serious. And neither anyone who's wise would do that. Fourthly, the next question I always get is, can I go look at the property? Can I get the lockbox code? Well, the answer to that, you only get an answer to that after the offer is accepted. So don't even ask that question until you've submitted an offer, it's accepted. Then we go back to the seller, all right, at the auction house and say, hey, this person wants to take a look at the property. It's their right to say no. In my experience, 50% of the time, about 50% of the time, they'll say, hey, here's the lockbox code, go take a look at it, but not always. So that's not guaranteed, even after you submit the offer, that they're going to let you look at that property. The most important thing I can tell you is, we say this even in every single email, do your own due diligence, because a lot of those properties, some of them are damaged, some of them, a lot of them have tenants in them, some of them have tax liens, any kind of, you know, sometimes there's liens that we don't even know about, but that's not our job to do the due diligence on that, because we're not buying the property. That's your job. And we always say that there's, you know, once the deal is done, all sales are final, and you will be responsible for whatever liens or associated tax liens, whatever that are associated with the property once you take possession of it. And there's many other questions, but those are the main ones. Just to recap, you must submit an LOI and POF for any additional information, whether it's the property is available or if you can look at it. That's the main thing you need to know. Once the offer is accepted, you need to be able to kick out $2,500 per property. And when you show those funds, you know, we need to see that you are legit. So the POF needs to be from a letter. It could be a letter from your attorney or your bank, or it can be a bank statement from, you know, Chase Bank or, you know, Bank of America, one of those places. But you need, the bottom line is, you need to be able to perform. That's why I say, if you're a newbie, this really isn't for you unless you have a cash buyer on hand that you can vouch for. Because remember, once we ask for this information and you guys can't perform, then it makes everyone look bad. And I will speak with you personally over the phone. We can talk about it. But that's the bottom line. These are not for everyone. And I encourage you to just build your buyers list. Take your time and find good buyers. Because if you can find a hedge fund company that will say, hey, Jimmy, you and your team, you know, if you guys can get me good properties, we'll take 20 of them, 20 properties per month. That's a pretty good bit of money that we can all make together. You know, we can charge, like, as you can see, the fees are $6,000. And those fees, most of them go to the auction house. And then, you know, we can negotiate you and I tacking on a fee on top of that. I'm basically doing this just to have, you know, to keep people interested so they can see that we do have that we do have property that's out there that they can tap into if they have a good buyer. We just want to keep people engaged until we can find other good off-market deals. But if they get 20 at a time, you know, we charge an extra $1,000 on top of the asking price, we can make $20,000 per month. You can make $1,000 on each deal, so can our company. But the main thing is buying in bulk and finding real buyers. Take your time with this thing. This is definitely a marathon. You find one good buyer with REOs and you're set. Keep in mind, the guys that we work with, they only have about 20 buyers nationwide, but each buyer buys tons and tons of property. Last year, they sold about 3,000 properties from that many buyers, from about 20 people. So we're not looking for everyone. So if you have any additional questions on how this works, you can send me an email or you can call me. My number will be above. And you can become a subscriber so, you know, I can kind of, you know, can send you stuff monthly on what we're doing. And we'll just take it from there. But I want to see you guys succeed. But yes, REOs are very special for the people that have the money to buy them. I do not recommend, for the last time, for newbies or even wholesalers who don't know anyone who has cash to get involved with these. I'll talk to you and I'll see you at the top. Bye-bye.